Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here today for Groundwork's morning meeting. We're very excited to share our guests with you here shortly. But before we kick off, as usual, we'll just do a really quick legislative update. There is legislative activity in the General Assembly again right now. So our team has been down at the State House back and forth for committee hearings. There are a few bills that might be of interest to folks. We have House Bill 352, which is regarding the custody of children who cannot be released to a parent due to out of county placement. This was voted unanimously out of committee and is headed to the House floor. So we'll continue sharing on that bill. It should move to the Senate here in the next few weeks. And then we've seen two related to child care. House Bill, I'm sorry, three. House Bill 464 is a bill that would exempt military certified childcare providers from also seeking state licensure. So that bill is sponsored by Representative Tracy Richardson, a Republican from Marion County, and there's a dual version of it in the Senate, Senator Christina Roegner. We submitted very brief proponent written testimony on that last week to make things easier for childcare providers who are already providing in-home services for military families and already receiving all of the U.S. Armed Forces licensure. And then we did see sponsor testimony on House Bill 647 from Representative Plummer and Representative Young. We'll see more testimony on that bill next week from Director Wente in the House Children and Human Services Committee. That is the bill that would allow the Attorney General to have investigative authority in child care allegations of fraud in the publicly funded system. We also saw Representative Williams give sponsor testimony on 649, which would expand video surveillance. So more to come on both of those. This was just sponsor testimony. There will be multiple more hearings on each of these, and we'll be sure to keep you in the loop and let you know when there are opportunities for testimony from the public. And just a quick note that in the federal government, Congress is on recess until February 23rd. So we are still in a partial government shutdown, but services related to our field are continuing. So we'll continue to keep you posted there. Feel free to shoot us an email if you have any questions, but I don't want to waste any more time. I want to pass it over to our wonderful guests from URS. We are going to start with a presentation from Dennis Grant, who is their CEO. URS supports children and adults with developmental and acquired disabilities through compassionate care, innovative programs, and unwavering dedication to their success. I'll let Dennis actually just introduce the rest of your team as you go. I feel like that will be more natural, and I'll pass it over to you. Thanks for being here.
Very good. Thank you so much, Brittany. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about what we do here at United Rehabilitation Services. I actually have been working with childcare programs for over 30 years. The agency I was with previously, Abilities First in Middletown, Ohio, did have a childcare, but not to the degree in terms of the ability to meet their needs with nursing and therapy services and everything else. So it's very unique in terms of what United Rehabilitation Services does. This is our 70th anniversary. And, when we started, it was a group of families in 1956 who had children with cerebral palsy. Schools were not required to make accommodations to meet the needs of children with physical and intellectual disabilities. And in many of these cases, these kids were pretty much stuck at home. So they got together and they formed a chapter of United Cerebral Palsy. We separated from United Cerebral Palsy back in 1998 and moved to our current location here in Dayton, Ohio. And we're in Dayton proper, but we do serve children and adults with disabilities from Greene County, Montgomery County, Miami County, and even a few from Clark and Warren County, because the services we offer are so unique. Our child care starts at 6 weeks of age. We work with them all the way up until they're 18, offering after-school programming and full-day programming for fall, winter, and spring break for children with disabilities ages 6 to 17. But we also offer a full-day summer camp for children as well, 6 to 17. So we do work with them through that period, and then we have adult day programming services, summer youth work experience programming that we can actually help high school students with disabilities develop skills and learn about the world of work, which oftentimes some of those kids wind up with jobs because it's been such a successful summer working for various employers. In that scenario, we have four individuals with intellectual or developmental disabilities working with one of our job coaches who provide intensive supervision and support and help them overcome any challenges they might be facing. We have a project search program working with high school kids with disabilities in Springfield, Ohio at Mercy Health. And kind of the same concept. We have two full-time job coaches there, and on a 1-to-4 ratio, they work with four individuals each, and of course float back and forth. But we put them on different jobs throughout the hospital, helping them to learn skills, and that could be anywhere from being in the kitchen, doing dishwashing, doing food preparation. It could be custodial or working in the warehousing area, or it could be working in the laboratory or engineering or even human resources. So we try to find a unique opportunity for them to develop skills with our support that they can eventually grow into a job that's for their senior year. And then when they graduate, we assist them in finding jobs, and we've been extremely successful in that. I will let Rachel talk a little bit more about the childcare. Rachel Zidaroff is currently our Chief Operating Officer. And, spoiler alert, I'm retiring June 30th and Rachel is taking my job. But I will let her speak a little bit about our childcare program and how we integrate therapies and nursing to make this probably, one of the most important programs in terms of being able to meet the needs of children, even medically fragile children, and support their families so they can continue to work or go to school. Hey, Rachel, thanks.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for having us today. We really appreciate the opportunity to present and share a little bit about our mission. The few things that I want to touch on, Dennis has kind of alluded to, that here in Montgomery County, we see about 35% of the children that enter kindergarten just not quite ready when they are enrolled into kindergarten. So one of the things that we do here, about 75% of the kids we serve in our childcare have a developmental delay or disability, and that puts them even at a further disadvantage to being ready for kindergarten when it's time to enroll. So we have a program called Get Set for School that is actually started as part of the Learning Without Tears program. It's a nationally recognized curriculum that builds on readiness skills in literacy, math, writing, fine motor development. And we implemented that curriculum back in 2012 or 2014, and we have seen such a success. It uses multimodality, multisensory approach to engage children through visual and auditory and kinesthetic and tactical learning methods. So what we see is just a huge response in different ways from the children that we're serving. This is added right into our preschool program. Our occupational therapists are certified in the Get Set for School program, and so are our preschool teachers. So the occupational therapist comes down twice a week and as part of circle time and part of small group time, implementing these lessons into the curriculum, and then the teachers carry it forward. And outside of the Get Set for School program, our occupational, physical, and speech therapists are also part of our childcare when it comes to being able to provide services. So they go in the classroom, they sign the kiddo out for the session of therapy, they take them down to the therapy clinic, provide the outpatient therapy, and then they bring them back and sign them back into childcare, which allows the family to have the evening, to have dinner, or go to extracurricular activities with their brothers and sisters, and not sit in a waiting room for therapy appointments multiple times a week for OTPT and speech, which we often see with kiddos with developmental delays. So having that right here on site is a big advantage for URS. And one of the other things that we have as an add-on here for quality is our nursing services. You will see that we have an LPN and an RN on staff that are here when our clients are here. So when we have kids here that are medically fragile or require medication administration or G-tube feeds, catheterizations, families just know that the nurse is here for that peace of mind. The staff are trained to do those interventions, and they usually do them. But sometimes there's that question, well, does this look right? Is the G-tube really in correctly? And having that LPN or RN here to give them that peace of mind and call the mom and reassure them, or the dad, and let them know, hey, everything's okay. No worries. We got this taken care of. We were able to get that G-tube back in. No need to come in and miss any work. It's just a really nice service to add for the families that we serve here at URS. I think that's about all, or I'm going to steal Tracy's thunder. Tracy, do you want to pick it up and talk a little bit about the partnerships we have that add to the success of the kiddos we serve?
Absolutely. Can you see me? I can't see me. Can you hear me?
You sound and look
We
great,
can.
Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, as Rachel had kind of alluded to, and Dennis as well, we have many different partnerships that we work with throughout the community. We work very closely with exceptional families through Wright Pat Air Force Base. We also work with Head Start, Early Head Start, DJFS, Preschool Promise. We've kind of rebuilt our partnership with Help Me Grow, which is amazing. We're starting to see a lot of referrals from that. We've been with Head Start for, as Dennis, decades. Unfortunately, due to the reduction in hours, contract changes in rules through DGFS, we had to kind of eliminate our Head Start contract, though we did maintain our early Head Start. So we are kind of revisiting that situation. But again, the reduction in hours, or the change in hours, I should say, through DGFS has really kind of not benefited our families or us. It's really kind of put a damper on things. Rachel had stated about 75% of our children have some type of disability. And I would say approximately 65 to 75% of those families are also on CFCFP, on the lower income. So we're supplying that breakfast, lunch, afternoon snack for these children throughout the days. A lot of times with these families or these children, that may be the best meals that they get. So we are very proud of the fact that we're able to supply that for them. I serve kids anywhere from the ages of 5 up to the age of 17. I kind of refer to us as kind of a one-stop shop, and parents are very thankful for everything that we're able to do. As Rachel stated, they're not going in and out, spending time in appointments. They are able to drop their children off in the morning, know that they're going to get those meals, all the benefits that we're offers as far as therapies, and then they can pick them up at the end of the day. And communication is key. Our therapists are constantly in contact with the parents, talking to them, as is my staff. We're a gold rated center. So I have very highly trained, caring, compassionate staff, and we're very proud of the work that they do here, that we all do here.
Yeah. And I'll just say, it is a great environment. We started accepting typically developing siblings of children with disabilities about 22, 23 years ago, because as part of our strategic planning and surveying families, they said they really would like to have all their kids here. We are really focused on providing high quality early childhood education. We are not NACE accredited, but we are accredited by the Commission on Accreditation of Rehabilitation Facilities, which is kind of the gold standard in terms of organizations or agencies that serve people with disabilities, because that truly has been our focus for the last 70 years. We are part of the Ohio Promise program, and we did work with Director Wente on kind of helping to develop that program, as probably a number of you did as well. We're very excited to see agencies and childcare providers, centers kind of opening the doors more for children with disabilities, and we want to do whatever we can to support and encourage that. We do partner with Samaritan Behavioral Health, who provides on-site observations and helps us in developing behavior plans for some of the children. And we're seem to see more and more kids who have some type of behavioral issue. That's been a great thing. And we just signed a contract yesterday to bring additional mental health services on site for training and support so that we can, meet the needs of all children. And, the one thing that really helps us a lot, our fees are very competitive. Tuition is lower than half the people in our area. But we are really focused on special needs waivers for those people who are part of the publicly funded childcare program through Title 20. It allows us to get accelerated payment rates for those children who have documented disability that require additional treatment, care, and maintenance. Unfortunately, that is only for the people that fall under publicly funded childcare. And we have a lot of private paying families who don't qualify, which means we have a funding gap pretty much every day because we have a lot more staff than most places. We get no reimbursement for nursing services. And for all the extra equipment and therapy, I mean, we have Rifton chairs and standers and things that cost thousands of dollars each. So we're constantly doing fundraising and grant writing, trying to cover the cost of providing high quality care for some of the kids with the highest level of needs. And when you have a 5-year-old that still needs to be fed and toileted and manage behaviors and things throughout the day, or a 15-year-old, it's the same thing. So we do, make accommodations for those kids however we need to. So we'll just open it up for questions. Hopefully that gives you a good enough background.
Thank you, Dennis, and congratulations on your retirement. How exciting did you
Yeah,
say 25? Was it 25 or 30 years? You said
25
25
years
years.
here.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. Been
amazing.
doing this for 50. I think I'm done.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, congratulations to you and to Rachel for your new pending leadership role.
Has anybody spoken about the prescribed pediatric extended care program, the PPEC?
I was going to ask you how that fits into this equation. Yeah, that'd be a great place to kick off. Would URS qualify as a PPEC, or could you share a little bit more about what that legislation could do for families with?
Yeah, well, we were very excited about bringing that to Ohio. We have worked with Redwood out of Northern Kentucky, who merged with Easter Seals about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And they have 3 PPEC programs in Northern Kentucky, which really are very similar to us. The difference would be is if we were under that program, we would need to bring on a medical director. We have not had a medical director for our program for about probably 15 years. We just found that it was an expense we really didn't need because we're working with treating physicians and our nurses are able to communicate with them and make sure we're following all the appropriate treatment regimes. But we would have to bring on a medical director. We would probably have to hire another RN and potentially a couple of LPNs. The problem with the bill as it stands is basically eligibility for the program will be based upon the parent's income. So much like the special needs waiver program, if they don't qualify for Title 20 and publicly funded childcare, then they're not going to qualify for PPEC either. So for us to have the added expense of hiring additional RNs and LPNs and getting a medical director, we would need to be sure that most of the families we serve would qualify. In Kentucky, as in many of the others, well, actually, I think almost all of the other states, I think there are 15 states that have the PPEC program across the country, like Florida and Texas and some. They have something called the Katie Beckett waiver. And we're very familiar with Medicaid waivers because we work with developmental disability Medicaid waivers for adults with disabilities under the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities. In terms of looking at this waiver program under Medicaid, which would be paying for the prescribed pediatric extended care, which is going to pay us as much in a day as we currently get in a week, to cover the cost of nursing, to cover the intensive care, and it would open it up for some of these kids on ventilators with even more serious medical conditions than those we currently serve. But we need to get the Medicaid waiver in place. We know Medicaid is under fire already. We also know that there are major changes to the Medicaid program on a federal level starting in February of 2027, which is going to put additional pressure on the state of Ohio. And we know Ohio is already under the gun and being told they're no longer going to be able to tax Medicaid managed care organizations, those MCOs, like they have been, which is going to cost them about $3 billion a year. And states are mandated to have a balanced budget. So where they're going to pull that money to support a program like this when they know they're already trying to contain Medicaid in every way, shape, and form. I'm not sure how this program will ever launch in Ohio and be successful because frankly, I would not be willing to do it. I would rather see an expansion of special needs waivers to meet the needs of all children with disabilities, not just based upon the parents' income and whether they qualify for Title 20.
I appreciate that insight so much. And I was just checking to see, I think the bill's in the Senate now. Maybe you've already engaged on it. I didn't look at the testimony list, but I think there's still an opportunity to have further discussion with the sponsors, Rep. Abrams and Rep. Baker from Cincinnati region. They haven't had a hearing since October, but it's in the Senate Health Committee. I think the Senate Health Committee is first going to go over some rural health transformation fund dollars when they reconvene. But I think there's still time to perhaps share some of this information with the sponsors and talk through what a different version of support could
Yeah.
look like.
Well, they have both been here and
Okay,
we have met with them, and I've
got it.
testified before the
Got
House
it.
committee.
Okay.
And we actually convened a meeting
Oh,
with
I see that.
Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, the Department of Medicaid. We had Baker, Abrams, and Schmidt in the room. We really had a chance to sit down and talk about it. And the feedback we got was we don't want to spend another dollar on Medicaid. We don't have to. So you're going to have to find another funding source. Medicaid wants to push it to the Ohio Department of Developmental Disability Services or Department of Children and Youth.
Mm,
But this is a Medicaid program and it's medically based. So there's a lot of contention about who's going to pick up the tab.
I hear
But
you.
we've been working with Abrams and Baker quite a bit.
Okay. Well, I don't want to lose if there's more commentary on this from folks, but I do see a couple more questions. I know Farine has her hand up. If you wanted to jump off mute, Farine, please feel free to hop in.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, perfect. Because I'm having some tech issues here. I was
Oh,
trying to send what I wanted to say in a message. I didn't
yeah.
want to take up too much time. But anyway, my name is Farheen Capra. First of all, want to thank Groundwork Ohio for these morning meetings. I attend them religiously because I feel this is such a great opportunity to meet, new organizations and partners, possible partners. I have been in the field of early childhood education for almost 15 years in different capacities. As a step-up specialist, as a trainer, as a coach, as a teacher, you name it. Currently, I work at Franklin County Family and Children First Council at their program called Building Better Lives. And what Building Better Lives does is we are essentially a training program and a coaching program, and we provide brain-based trauma-competent trainings that are deeply rooted in the neurosequential model of education, which is a model of education that Dr. Bruce Perry owns. We don't just rely on his work, though we do heavily rely on his work, but we rely on other, scholars and leaders in the field of trauma competency. I was very, very interested in, getting contact information of people from United Rehab Services because you guys do such wonderful work, and I noticed that you are very deeply rooted in the ECE spaces and after-school programs, and that is the space I work in. At the BBL team, we focus on social workers, K through 12 education, and the early education spaces, and I work in those spaces. So this is my space. I was wondering if you could share your emails because I would love to send you guys some information about the work we do, what our trainings look like, and just for you guys to know, our trainings are all Ohio approved. I was a big advocate for that before I started. They were not, but because I come from this, I emerged out of this space. I was like, hey, these are amazing trainings, but they also have to be Ohio approved for folks in the ECE space to come to because they need those hours. So please, I would absolutely love to connect with you guys. And thank you, Groundwork, again I love these meetings. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that feedback. Yeah, Farine, we would love to connect you. Who on the team should we could e-connect you guys after the call?
You can,
Um,
Yeah, you can direct them to, I mean, when you share the slide deck,
Yeah.
you can certainly, you've got our bios, you can certainly add the email addresses for that.
Thank you so much. So yeah, Farine, if you're on the list, you'll get all the contact info in that e-blast we send out before next week's meeting.
Excellent. I am looking forward to it. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, come see us, take a tour.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
Thank you.
love it. We have another question from Deborah. Deborah works at a center and would like to open up a room to children with disabilities. Perhaps there's somebody on the team you recommend that she could maybe ask some questions to specifically to start that process. I love that. I love that you want to do that, Deborah. That's amazing. And I'm not sure where Deborah's located. I'm looking at your logo. I see the picture and I can't get it big enough to see what part of the state you're in. Um, if that helps.
Thank you
What I
so
would
much.
say
Oh,
What I would
sorry.
say, no, Deborah, what I would say is this would be a really good conversation for us to have offline so that we
Yeah,
don't monopolize everyone's time. But I would be happy to speak with you about that. And if I can answer your questions, then Tracy and I could do a call with you. So if you'd like to just reach out to us, or if maybe Brittany can share your contact information with me, we will set something up and give you as much information as we possibly can.
excellent. Thank you so much. And we have 5 centers, by the way. They're all throughout Columbus.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely talk to you. Yeah, I would be happy.
Thanks, Rachel, and thanks, Deborah. Wonderful. Lots of great connections after this call. I see Lynn Fogel has a comment, a question around going back to the PPEC services. She asks whether the existing level 1 and IO waivers could be used to fund any of those services. I'm not sure whether that was covered in some of Dennis's analysis.
Yeah,
If
well, we certainly have an opportunity, and again, I think that's what the Department of Medicaid was pressing the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, is to use waiver dollars to do that. The waiver funding mechanism is not set up to really accommodate that kind of classroom environment, and Rachel can speak to that better than I can, but we wind up having to bill based upon the ratios in terms of the number of kids based upon the staff, and the reimbursement rate for waivers is ridiculously low, where you get $3 an hour, per child. It just doesn't pay. But that would be the push in the right direction in some ways. I will also say the other thing you have to be in keeping in mind, and this is more adult focused than kids, but Montgomery County Board of Developmental Disabilities has declared fiscal crisis. They've been in a fiscal crisis for 5 years. Butler County is already in fiscal crisis. Multiple counties.
Lucas.
If you talk to Adam Herman from the Ohio Association of County Boards of Developmental Disability Services, all of the county boards are going to be in financial trouble in the next 3 to 5 years. Even with the levies that are being passed to subsidize the match required for waivers. I know this is way too much detail. I apologize. But the ability, even to get a waiver, they're starting waiver waiting lists. And it's not a really pretty picture. And we're really concerned about people are not able to get the kind of services that they're going to need. They're cutting back on budgets for individuals with disabilities, whether they're a child or an adult. And we actually have scheduled advocates for basic legal equality. They're part of Legal Aid of Western Ohio, and they're coming in to do a presentation. And this isn't the first time we've done it. But we're having presentations done for our young families to talk about navigating the IEP process, how to make sure your child's rights are represented in that process, but also to work with adults to make sure that when your budgets are cut and you're being denied services or your waivers put on hold, that you know how to work the system to try and represent your child's rights and needs. This is a time. Like I said earlier, I've been doing this for 50 years. Every year it's a new challenge. It's just incredible.
Thank you, Dennis.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. We're appreciative of your expertise. And I did want to note in the chat, somebody also mentioned connecting with the Early Childhood Inclusion Center of Excellence as a resource for expanding services for Deborah and any others on the call who are considering ways that they could better support families with children with developmental disabilities. It is
There's
10.
also, Brittany, I'll just add really
Yes,
quick, also a bunch
please.
of resources on their website for centers to access just around training and one-page handouts for families with strategies. So if you haven't been to the Center of Excellence's website, please do that as a provider and as a parent.
Thank you, Rachel. And we'll send out all of the slides, all of the contact info, and we can include that link too in what we send out as well. So really appreciate that tip. Really appreciate the work that you all do and your willingness to be so just to be so generous with your time and share your insights and expertise with our stakeholders. So thank you for spending your morning with us and providing such critical services to families.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Hope it was
All right.
helpful to everybody.
It was wonderful. I hope you all have a great morning and congratulations again on your retirement, Dennis.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thanks
Thank you
all.
all.
Thank you.